Hi, my name is Alan Kim, and today I'm presenting neonicotinoid insecticides, a study between Indiana and Switzerland honeybees. So the main takeaway from this study is that neonicotinoids are a type of insecticide, and they are lowering the average lifespan of Apis mellifera, otherwise known as honeybees. And in this study, the honeybees in Switzerland already had a much lower average lifespan compared to the Indiana honeybees, but they were both equally affected by the neonicotinoids. And this means that their average lifespan was lowered at a similar rate. This is very devastating because at some point their average lifespans are going to be so low that these honeybees are unable to perform their roles as pollinators in the ecosystem. This is the first graph I created after analyzing the data. It shows the average age of death of honeybees in the control and insecticide treatment groups for both Switzerland and Indiana honeybees. The Indiana honeybee control group had an average lifespan of about 21 and a half days, whereas the insecticide treatment group had an average lifespan of about 16 and a half days. In Switzerland, however, the control group had an average lifespan of about 13 and a half days, and the insecticide treatment group had an average lifespan around 10 days. You can see that there's a very large difference in the initial lifespans between Indiana honeybees and Switzerland honeybees, which might lead you to believe that there is a huge difference in the effect that the neonicotinoids have on their lifespan. This is the second graph I created after analyzing the data, which shows the in-treatment effect that the insecticide had on both Indiana and Switzerland honeybees. From the graph, we can see that the Switzerland honeybee's lifespan was lowered by about 0.23 or 23%, whereas in Indiana, the honeybees had their lifespan lowered by 0.245 or about 24.5%. This is important to take notice of because, as I said before, this could lead to devastating consequences on the environment. If the neonicotinoids are lowering the average lifespan of honeybees at the same rate regardless of what their initial average lifespans are, then we could be potentially seeing the disappearance of honeybees in parts of the world where insecticide use is not regulated. We have to be able to balance our agricultural needs as a society with what nature needs. This graph was taken from the first paper, Chronic Exposure to Neonicotinoids Reduces Honeybee Health Near Corn Crops, and it shows that the average age of the honeybee was reduced after being exposed to neonicotinoids. From this dataset, I was able to calculate the average lifespans for both the control group and the treatment group for the Indiana honeybees. After calculating those values, I used the equations shown here in order to determine the treatment effect that the neonicotinoids have on honeybee lifespan. This is the second dataset I used for my analysis project titled Negative Effects of Neonicotinoids on Male Honeybee Survival, Behavior and Physiology in the Field. From the provided dataset, I was able to calculate the average lifespan of Switzerland honeybees in both the control group and the insecticide treatment group, and after obtaining those values, I was then able to calculate the treatment effect using the equations shown below. The treatment effect that I calculated was then used to create the graph shown in figure 2, which helped illustrate the main point here that these neonicotinoids are lowering the average lifespan of honeybees exposed to them at the same rate, regardless of their initial lifespan or what part of the world they are in. Thank you for listening to my presentation about neonicotinoids and honeybee lifespans.